Hey everyone! I'm writing this because I need to share what happened to me and my best friend last summer. It's been eating me up inside, and I feel like I need to get it out there. I apologize in advance if this isn't written well. I'm not much of a writer, but I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say. So, my best friend Emily and I had just graduated from college. We were on top of the world, and we wanted to celebrate big time. Emily suggested we go up to Hunter's Peak, a mountain a couple of hours away from the city. It's pretty remote, and we knew we wouldn't be bothered up there. Plus, the view is amazing. We planned to spend the night there, just the two of us, enjoying our freedom before life got serious. We packed our stuff: a tent, sleeping bags, snacks, and a couple of bottles of wine. We left the city around noon and got to the base of the mountain by mid-afternoon. The hike up was tough, but it was worth it. By the time we reached the top, the sun was starting to set, and the whole place was bathed in this beautiful golden light. We set up our tent, laid out a blanket, and just sat there, taking it all in. As the night fell, we lit a small campfire and opened a bottle of wine. We were laughing, talking about the future, and just having a great time. It felt like the perfect ending to our college years. The stars were out in full force, and the only sounds were the crackling of the fire and the occasional rustle of leaves. Around midnight, we decided to call it a night. We put out the fire and crawled into our tent. Emily fell asleep almost immediately, but I was too wired to sleep. I lay there for what felt like hours, staring at the tent ceiling. Finally, I decided to go for a short walk to clear my head. I stepped out of the tent and started walking towards a small clearing we had passed on the way up. The moon was bright, so I didn't need a flashlight. Everything was eerily quiet, which was both peaceful and unsettling. As I reached the clearing, I noticed a strange light in the distance. It was flickering, almost like a lantern. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check it out. As I got closer, I realized the light was coming from a cave I hadn't noticed before. It was partially hidden by some bushes. I stood there, debating whether to go in or not. Eventually, my curiosity won, and I stepped inside. The cave was bigger than I expected. The light was coming from deeper within, so I carefully made my way forward. The air was cold and damp, and I could hear the sound of dripping water. After a few minutes, I reached a large chamber. In the middle of it was a small, flickering flame, like a candle or something. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around, but there was no one there. I started to feel really creeped out, so I decided to head back. As I turned to leave, I noticed something on the cave wall. It looked like ancient drawings, but I couldn't make out what they were. I hurried back to the tent, trying to shake off the feeling of unease. When I got there, Emily was still sound asleep. I crawled back into my sleeping bag and finally drifted off. The next morning, I woke up to find Emily gone. At first, I thought she had just gone for a walk, but as the minutes passed, I started to panic. I called out for her, but there was no response. I ran around the campsite, calling her name, but she was nowhere to be found. I spent the entire day searching for her. I even went back to the cave, but there was no sign of her. I was terrified and had no idea what to do. By evening, I decided to hike back down the mountain to get help. When I reached the base, I found a ranger station and told them what happened. The rangers organized a search party, and we spent the next few days combing the mountain. But there was no trace of Emily. It was like she had vanished into thin air. The cave I had found was empty, and the drawings on the wall were gone too. It's been months now, and there's still no sign of her. I don't know what happened that night, but I can't shake the feeling that something terrible took her. I feel guilty for leaving the tent and not waking her up when I went to check out the light. I can't help but think that maybe, if I had stayed, she would still be here. I'm sharing this because I need to know if anyone else has experienced something similar. I can't be the only one who's seen those strange lights or heard those footsteps. If you've been to Hunter's Peak or know anything about what might have happened, please let me know. I just want to find Emily and bring her home. Thank you for reading, and please be careful if you ever go to Hunter's Peak.